Hypersexual zombie cicadas that are infected with sexually transmitted fungus expected to emerge this year. That sounds like a side plot of This Is Us.
Yes,
This Is Us or The Last of Us?
I'm sorry, The Last of Us.
The Last of Us, yeah.
Yes.
I almost always make that same mistake when I go to say that. I'm like, no, that's not the right show. That's a different kind of show.
Yeah, completely.
Mandy Moore's character really flourishes in those last seasons.
Exactly.
But it really does sound like something out of a science fiction movie. So,
Yeah.
what are trillions of cicadas are going to emerge across several U.S. states this spring, having one expert call it a cicada geddon.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Yeah,
what are we looking for? When is this going to happen? Who are going to be the lucky neighborhoods that's going to be stepping on trillions of cicadas?
Trying to do it, apparently.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So that's the whole. So it's funny when I saw that when I see these headlines about hypersexual cicadas, they're already hypersexual. Like that is the whole reason why they're out of the ground and singing. The males are singing, trying to find a mate. Like they're already hypersexual when they're out and about. So. Yeah, so in Milwaukee, we'll see some cicadas. So it's a big emergence up here. But there's a spot in mid to southern Illinois where two broods, a 13-year and a 17-year, overlap. It only happens every 221 years.
Oh, wow.
And so that strip, that is where we're going to get trillions. So we will see a big emergence here. Definitely in the thousands, tens of thousands of cicadas. But that strip in Illinois is where you're going to get both of them emerging, and it should be a wild ride.
Oh, those lucky folks.
No.
Those lucky lady cicadas. Ugh.
So we've been watching, there's an app called iNaturalist, and you can use the app I use it to identify plants and animals in my yard or like on my walks with my dog. But you can use it. There's an explore function, and you can actually see what other people are finding and identifying. And so we're watching this area to pinpoint when we need to go take a road trip down to southern Illinois and see this emergence. So we're bug nerds. We love it.
Bug nerds. That's usually you need a T-shirt that says that.
Absolutely.
Well, you made a very good point that they're underground. For the one brood was underground for 13 years, the other underground for 17 years. So, yeah, I'm sure they're pretty frisky when they finally wake up. It's like, oh, I've been having dreams about you.
Exactly.
for 17 years.
Yes, and what I found fascinating as I was learning more about this fungus, especially, is not only are cicadas some of the longest living insects in that we know of, the fungus is one of the longest dormant funguses that we know of as well. So that fungus, it spreads among the mating cicadas and actually changes their behavior. So zombie is a perfect word to describe them. So we can talk more about that. But what's interesting is the fungus has a two-phase cycle. It has the spread like crazy between cicadas as they're mating, and then later as the cicadas start to die, the fungus also changes phase, and then it drops spores into the ground where it hangs out into the ground until 13 or 17 years later, the cicadas, so they don't go into the ground being infected. All the infected ones die, and the spores hang out in the ground until the cicadas emerge in 13 to 17 years, and that's when they get reinfected. So it doesn't hang out in the cicadas all their life.
Can we just play Elton John's The Circle of Life right now?
That is crazy.
It's
So
amazing.
we're essentially talking about cicada STDs.
That's exactly what we're talking about. That phase of reproduction for this fungus is a sexually transmitted disease. So what I find the most fascinating. So I was trained as a behavioral ecologist. So my job is to watch how animals behave and think about how they interact with the environment, how the environment interacts with them. and just think about their behavior, predict their behavior. We mostly work on honeybees, but like I said, we're bug nerds, so we love all the bugs. And so the most fascinating thing I find about this is the fungus infects males and females, cicadas, and the fungus, when it's in its first stage, causing the STD stage, it changes the male cicada behavior. So the males are typically the ones making the noise. So they have an organ on their body. Have you guys ever played with those like pipes, the plastic pipes that you can pull, like contract and pull apart, and they make this noise? That's essentially the organ on the cicada. So to make that noise, they're filling this organ with air, and it like has ribs, and it goes right. So we know that noise, and males are doing that, and the females then find the males as they're mating. The males will congregate, and the females will come find them and say, "I like your song, buddy," and they do a little wing like flick, and the wing flick is signaling to the male, "I'm ready to mate. Let's do this." So again, like hypersexual, their mouth parts are sealed. They are not eating. They're just flying around singing. That's their, again, hypersexual period, right? So that's their goal. They can't bite. They don't sting. They don't even eat. They literally are mating and dying. So
they're so H'd up they can't talk.
Exactly. Yep. So they are ready to go. And so what's interesting is, so the males are singing in a normal situation, in a non-infected situation. The males are singing, the females are flicking their wings saying, "I'm ready, you're the one, let's do this." When the males are infected with the fungus, they start flicking their wings. So they are essentially acting like females. So they are confusing the signals, and then the male's like, "Wait, hold on, you're right, you want to mate?" And then so it increases the number of individuals they're essentially trying to mate with. But that fungus at that point has taken over the cicada's abdomen, and there's no mating that happens. So it is purely a whoops, I fooled you, or the fungus fooled you, and it's changed the behavior. And I was just on Google Scholar is my like how to find scientific papers, and I was on trying to find the mechanism of like what changes in the bodies and the brains, like what does the fungus do, and I didn't find anything. So that is an open scientific question as far as I could tell on my quick search. So again, we know a lot about this fungus, but we don't know everything. So that's the beauty of science, and some of the things that we do, and why I love my job is we're constantly discovering new things. So it's really, really awesome.
Dr. Chelsea Cook is our guest. She's a biology professor at Marquette University, and we're talking about the zombie cicadas that are coming to a neighborhood near you, especially in parts of southern Illinois. You had mentioned, Chelsea, right?
Yep.
It is an interesting evolutionary choice, though, isn't it, to be underground for 17 years? Why was that a good move?
Ooh, Jane, great question. Well, the beauty of evolution is there's no choice involved. It's just what the environment has selected for. And it's all the past environment, right? So like evolution is not forward thinking. What exists now is what has been shaped in the past. The long term being underground, as well as the prime number being 13, 17, it is definitely a huge evolutionary question. The main hypothesis right now is that it is hard for predators to predict prime numbers. There's some, if it's every other year or every 4 years or something, predators can predict that. They learn and they can remember. But for some, the main hypothesis right now is that prime numbers are just hard to predict, and the longer it tends to be, that can also be difficult to predict. And then there's an evolutionary strategy among many plants and animals. In plants, it's called masting, but it's where essentially you also just put out as many individuals as possible to reproduce, or your eggs or your seeds. And that also, increases the probability that your offspring are going to make it and not get eaten by something else, right? So it's really, it tends to kind of be boiled down to predator-prey dynamics. How many of you are out there? When do you emerge? And the evolutionary selection of the prime numbers. It's pretty wild. So yeah, again, we don't know for sure, but that's the major hypothesis right now, the emergent hypothesis.
Dr. Cook, you don't know this, but Jane does. One of my favorite things to talk about is space. I would say a close second is evolution.
Yeah.
And the idea that cicadas is a way through evolution got to the 13 to 17 year, and just the idea of predators losing count, like how many years was it? It was
Where's my paw?
Yeah, it's like it's so beautiful. It's so amazing.
It's amazing. I love it.
Who are the main predators of cicadas? Who's eating cicadas?
Oh man, so lots of birds. Birds are eating cicadas. So I would say like pretty much anything. There are a good friend of mine wrote a natural history note. So sometimes if you have like an interesting observation you've made as a biologist, instead of writing a whole paper, you write like a little natural history note. And he actually wrote about, he was out doing field work studying wild burrows in the Southwest and saw bear scat that was filled with cicadas. And so bears are even opportunistically eating cicadas. So I think pretty much like most mammals, lots of birds who are insectivores, anything that can eat them will eat them, especially when they're so abundant.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a big banquet coming to Southern Illinois, you guys. What?
And they're ready to get it on. Yeah.
Mix and mingle, baby.
Get all your proteins. You got your bug protein, you got your mushroom protein, your fungus protein, all of it. It's all
everything you need.
Well, and the fungus, you said is amazing too, because it seems like it uses the cicada to reproduce and thrive, but only gets to come out every baker's dozen years or more.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of evolution, right? I mean, the fungus doesn't know what it's selecting, and I was having a conversation with one of my graduate students earlier this morning, just about like why this would happen, and a fungus just ends up being able to, it lands on a host and just happens to be able to reproduce and grow in that host. Yeah. And then I mean you have social animals. If evolutionarily that infection to spread has that evolutionary advantage, you end up in a social animal who likes to mate and hang out together. So we study honeybees, and we have many diseases in honeybee colonies that we're constantly fighting because they're so social and they hang out in big groups. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting life history strategy for both cicadas and the fungus.
Well, we're going to have you back to talk about honeybees, because this is a big, big thing.
Yes, please.
And we really need to be protecting our honeybees. So we will get you back. Dr. Chelsea Cook is a biology professor at Marquette University. Thank you so very, very much. This was so interesting.
Absolutely.
Go fluff your wings, guys, and head to Southern Illinois.
Let's snap those wings, baby. What up?
All right. Stay close.
Appreciate it.
You're listening